Hi, thanks for tuning in. This is the weekly chart analysis for the week ending 18th of August 2023. First chart is the US dollar index futures. I'll just point out that I'm doing the review quite early this week. I've got a family show to attend to shortly, so some of the data may not be finalised for the week, especially the volumes. I expect it'll be pretty close. You can see price continued higher in this market this week. Spreads narrowed. Volumes have remained about average. So you can see that the push higher is becoming more difficult for the market. You've got the first level coming through here. This is the breakdown line. This is the breakdown bar. Next level coming through here, where prices closed this week. You may find that the effort is becoming more difficult for the market to push higher, and price may come back and just consolidate sort of in this level here next week, even just for a period during the week before it pops up and closes adjacent to where it closed this week. E-mini S&P, this is S&P 500 index futures. Price pulled back this week, possibly with the strength in the US dollar. This market's just finding it a little bit more difficult now. Spread increased as price pulled back, but volume actually reduced. You can see the market's closed adjacent to this bar here. There was a period of absorption just through here, just below the beginnings of this resistance zone. The resistance goes right through here. This was a period of absorption, and that's where prices closed adjacent to this week. There was a little close off the lows, so there was some buying support come in to this market. The response next week will be most important. If price continues lower, that would be a negative for this market. More likely is perhaps an attempt to consolidate with a test for supply or some buying support coming in like that. US Treasury 10-year note futures are threatening to break down. Here's the lows of the range. Spread narrowed this week. Volume was about average. And price is threatening the lows. You've got last gasp lows down here, but I'm not sure they're going to be strong enough to hold. The line at 110 is the important line. And while this market hasn't broken down, it's certainly threatening to do so. Copper price futures. Copper price futures are also flirting with the lows of the range. You can see spreads narrowed considerably. Volume reduced, but it remains above average, so buying support was being offered to this market. There's no doubt. And price is holding on quite well considering the pressure it's under with the strength in the US dollar. Gold price futures. Gold price futures have dropped below the lows of the range this week. Volumes for the last 3 weeks have been well below average. This suggests a market that is reluctant to move lower. It's not actively being sold off. It's reluctantly drifting lower on low volumes, most likely due to the strength in the US dollar. It's not actively being sold. The next level down is sort of through there. It's a little bit obscured. You need to go to the daily chart to exactly work out the levels, but that's a good guide as to where the next level lower is. You may find that if the market remains under pressure, price sits on top of this level, sort of in here. There also may be that the US dollar just comes back and consolidates next week, and that'll allow this market just to pop up and close back within the range, something like that. But it remains to be seen. Silver price futures, they are holding on at the lows of the range. In fact, they closed slightly higher for the week. So I would suggest that 2 weeks ago on this bar, when we saw the real spike in volume, many of the traders who were going to get out have done so, and this market was attempting to find support this week, and some buying support has come in, with the volume, while reduced, remaining above average. Spread narrowed. The close was as an up bar, very slightly as an up bar, but an up bar all the same. So buying support was being offered to this market. Like crude price futures, and we saw this week price move into consolidation mode, which is not surprising. I actually expected it may have happened the week previous, so I was a week out on this one. Prices consolidating right at this resistance line above here, and that's sort of what you'd expect. The market had a pretty good run up here, and it's just come back. It's consolidating, it's absorbing supply, and overall the market's held its gains quite strongly and remains quite strong overall. Aussie dollar currency futures. Here was the zone price had been trading in for an extended period of time. The strength of the US dollar has pushed price out and has been trading lower this week. Now, here's the next lower level to look at, between 62 and 64 cents, and price is sitting right on top of that zone now. If there is a little bit of consolidation in the US dollar this week, you may see this market just attempt to push back and perhaps reverse like this. I'm not expecting any really strong reversal. And if the US dollar strength overall continues, I think price will probably end up in this zone between 62 and 64. Bitcoin futures. Bitcoin futures, I was out by a week on this market as well. Just draw the chart in a bit. That's the highs of the range. This is the accumulation zone. I've said for quite a while that this extended period of sideways consolidation was just going on a little bit too long. And there may be a shakeout, or there may be a pullback to test the strength of the breakout. It would be a secondary test. Here's the initial testing through here. So another pullback to this level would be a secondary test. Now, you could find this turns out to be a reversal or a shakeout of some sort, which would look like this. That's certainly possible. There would be a shakeout over 2 bars. You may find that price actually consolidates now, and you get a price bar that looks like that next week, and that would be a secondary test of the breakout. You could also get a failure here and price pull back within the accumulation zone to the left. So looking a little bit vulnerable now. The response next week is really important, obviously. US dollar index futures, just to wrap up. I'm pretty quick this week, but I'm up early and I'm going out shortly. These are the 2 levels that are worth noting. These are the 2 breakdown lines. Here's the breakdown bar there, and here's the breakdown bar here. That came down to break below the lows of the range. You can clearly see that spreads narrowed this week. Volume remains about average. So the market's encountering some supply. It's trying to push through. It may be successful and continue pushing higher. You'll get a bar that looks like this next week, which will be coming up to threaten the highs of the range up here. But I think with a pretty good run, you've had 5 weeks that have all closed higher, a period of consolidation in here would be the highest probability, I think, at least in the near term. Now, that might just be intra-week, next week, and you'll get a bar that closes like this. But I think that a period of consolidation may occur just below where price closed this week, and that may allow some of those other associated markets, the E-mini, the 10-year note, copper, gold, silver, light crude, Aussie dollar, to all breathe a little bit of a sigh of relief and just release some of that pressure that's been on them to move lower and allow them just to float higher a little bit in response. Okay, thanks for your time. See ya.